If it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? In this video, I'm going to share with you the rent-to-rent risks, how you can overcome them, and what you should tell your mum when she says, "Oh, this seems a bit risky." I'm Simon, rent-to-rent specialist and mentor, and over the past 4 years, I've built a 7-figure rent-to-rent empire, and I get passive income. I don't go out and buy stupid stuff. I reinvest that into assets that I own for long-term legacy wealth. And I do these videos simply to add free value, because these are the videos I wish I had when I started. And to be quite frank, I just don't want you to run to the back of the room and get stoned for thousands when I can show you what to do right here for free. So if that sounds good, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, comment, all that good stuff. Now let's get into the value. But yeah, so is rent-to-rent risky? Because I was having a chat with someone yesterday and they were speaking to somebody else. So I was speaking to somebody, they like rent-to-rent, they spoke to somebody else, and this somebody else was an investor, a purist, a property owner, one of the elite. And they were saying, don't do rent-to-rent, it's risky. They were saying, but you don't get the capital appreciation. They were saying it's a long-term agreement. They were saying it's hard work. They were saying all these sort of cliches with no understanding or experience in rent-to-rent. And I don't like that. Okay, rent-to-rent's my baby. Mind how you speak about her. But if we're just being clear, what I don't like is it when people just don't know what they don't know, and it's just ignorance, really. Because let's talk about it. Rent-to-rent risks. If you think it's risky because you're signing a long-term agreement and you've got the liability of the rent, then what do you think buying a house is? I mean, try having a mortgage and not paying it. The difference is with rent-to-rent, we've got the correct agreement where at any time we can exit if it's not working. That's if you're using the right agreements, right? And that's what my agreements say. I have a 2-month termination clause in all of my agreements. Try giving your mortgage company a 2-month termination. You're going to end up with a CCJ in big trouble, and they're going to end up taking the house from you. So in terms of the risks of the liability of the rent-to-rent wins. Because if a property don't work, I give it back, 2 months notice, I move on. You cannot do that with buy-to-let properties you owned. Then let's talk about the capital appreciation. Of course, rent-to-rent, you will not get the capital appreciation unless you go on to purchase it, but you've invested 5 grand instead of 150. You don't need the capital appreciation. You've just had a thousand. Think about it. If you invest 5 grand into a property and it makes you 50 grand over 5 years, that's 1,000% return. You don't need capital appreciation. Because I'm like, if I buy a house for 200 grand, what's the chances of it being worth 2 million? Not gonna happen. So this capital appreciation thing is a myth. Don't get me wrong. I buy houses, okay? And I'm in there for the long haul. But we're talking 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the line. They're talking properties can double in value every 10 years. But for it to 10x, that's going to take forever and a day. It's probably going to be your kids or your kids' kids. And keep in mind, if you're my generation, we missed out on the days where people were buying houses for 30 grand and they're now worth 300. Sorry, that time's gone. So that's the capital appreciation. But my biggest pet hate, okay, this is so annoying, is that if you're sat there with 100 grand and somebody tells you to invest that whole 100 grand into one property and you earn £1,000 a month from that property, if you're lucky, you never get that money again. You're never going to have 100 grand again. So you're stuck because you can only save £500 a month in your job, and it's going to take you another 20 years to generate 100 grand again. So you're stuck. You're stuck in the matrix, in your 9 to 5, doing what you got to do. And I think that's bad advice. I think that's irresponsible just because people think it's nice to own. But the fact of the matter is, I feel like I'm ranting a bit, but the fact of the matter is, if you've got to replace your income, 5 grand a month, you need to generate cash flow, and there is no better property strategy for recurring cash flow than rent-to-rent. I challenge you. Anybody that disagrees with me, comment below. Let me know what strategy you can invest 100 grand in and get 20 grand a month income, because you're never going to do that with a buy-to-let or a serviced accommodation you own. All right. So is rent-to-rent risky? Every form of investment has its risks. It all has its risks. But for me, the fact that you can give a rent-to-rent back quickly and have an exit, the fact that it's like such a low investment in the first place that you should have more in the bag to pay the rent, all right? The fact that you can do multiple units which offset each other, the fact that you can replace your income, the risk to reward in rent to rent is unparalleled. And that is just my opinion. If you disagree, let me know. I hope you found this useful. Oh yeah, one more thing, okay? Never listen to somebody that's not done it, yeah? I'm like, what do you know about rent to rent? You've never done rent to rent. You just keep owning properties or whatever you're doing. You don't know. You got to listen to somebody that's done it, that's made it work, that's systemized it, that's changed their life through it, to really get an insight into it. So be careful who you listen to and be careful what you listen to. Never listen to somebody about something that's not done it, not done what you want to do. That's bad advice, all right? Anyway, Simon here. Appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video.